Unbind him. The guard closest to Jander moved to obey. Jander shrank back as the knife whispered out of the sheath, but he held his arms out as the ropes that bound them were severed. He cradled his hands in his lap, rubbing the circulation back into his chafed wrists absently. His eyes never left Kirin's. Now leave us. Kirin dismissed the guards with an impatient gesture of his hand. Once they were alone, Kirin moved to a coffee-coloured cabinet with stained glass doors and pulled out 2 crystal glasses and a decanter filled with a dark blood-red liquid. The flickering lamplight caught on the edges of his black cloak as he poured, casting his shadow in grotesque relief against the wall of the tent. The shadow surged and wavered as he moved, as if struggling to find the shape of a man and failing. Jander watched the other man warily. Kirin finished with his task and then handed one of the wine glasses to Jander. Jander made no move to accept it. Shrugging, Kirin set the glass aside and sipped deeply from his own. His dark eyes held Jander's searchingly. I am trying to be civil about this, he said after a moment. Jander's eyes narrowed. Where is my friend? He asked. There was a flash of white teeth as Kirin smiled at him. I wouldn't worry. I'm sure my men are keeping him occupied. It was a blatant attempt to goad a reaction out of him. Jander very carefully kept his face expressionless. What do you want? What does anyone want? Kirin replied with perfect ambiguity. He walked slowly forward across the room, a sardonic curl to his thin lips. There was a deliberate sensuality to the way the man moved. Jander judged that this was a person who knew exactly what he wanted out of life and was quite accustomed to getting it. He highly doubted that Kirin had ever been denied anything he set his heart on. Unexpectedly, there was a brush of darkness against Jander's mind. He stiffened, his fingers sinking into the padded arms of his chair. Kirin's smile turned mocking, and Jander began to sweat, preparing himself for another assault from the oppressive weight of the other man's power. This was an ability he did not understand, and it frightened him badly. The touch receded, however, and Kirin reached out a hand to touch Jander lightly under the chin. Jander jerked his head back, gazing angrily up at the other man. The magic shifted around them. Before Jander could react, sinuous bands of invisible energy coiled around his wrists, binding them firmly to the arms of the chair. What? He gasped, tugging ineffectually at the magic that bound him. More than the restraints, he hated the sudden vulnerability of his position. He gazed up at Kirin with pleading eyes, his earlier defiance gone. Kirin gazed down at him almost pityingly. His hands smoothed over Jander's hair the way he might stroke a beloved pet. I'm afraid this is going to be unpleasant for you, Jander. He tipped his head back, draining the last of the wine from his glass, and then set the empty cup aside with casual indifference. His fingers twined deeper into Jander's hair. What do you want? Jander stammered, truly frightened now. His heart was hammering in his chest. He felt as if he were about to hyperventilate from terror. His mind swam with memories of what Aluin had told him about this man, about how he followed the paths of bone and blood. Just the truth. Kirin crouched down next to the chair, fingers smoothing down the side of Jander's face. His touch felt like ice against Jander's fevered skin. I want you to tell me everything you know about the defences of Vallerin.